So, have you ever gotten one of those calls? The really unsettling ones?
Uh-huh.
Someone claiming they're from, like, a big tech company, telling you your computer's got viruses, it's infected, and they absolutely need to fix it, like, right now.
Yeah, I think most people have probably experienced that or know someone who has. It's disturbingly common.
Exactly. And often it's not just some random attempt. It's a really meticulously crafted scam
Yeah,
designed purely to get your money.
absolutely.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty significant here, a major breakthrough in fighting exactly this kind of transnational cybercrime.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to unpack Operation Chakra-V. This was a huge action by India's Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI,
All right.
and it was aimed at dismantling this massive tech support scam operation. I mean, truly enormous.
Yeah, the scale was quite something. They were targeting thousands, specifically in the UK and Australia.
And what this operation uncovered about how these networks operate, their sophistication, their global reach, it's really eye-opening.
It definitely is. So our mission, really, for this deep dive is to pull out the key insights from the sources. We want to understand how these scams actually work,
Yeah, mechanics of it.
Exactly. The infrastructure they build, often hidden away, and also the kind of collaborative efforts needed to actually take them down.
Think of this as your fast track, basically. Getting quick, thorough knowledge about this specific, really impactful case. It goes way beyond just the headlines.
Right. Knowledge you can actually use.
Okay, so let's start by pulling back the curtain on what some sources are calling the Great Microsoft Scam.
Mm-hmm.
At its heart, this was a seriously organized criminal network. They even had a name, FirstIdea. Sounds almost legitimate, doesn't it?
It does. Very innocuous. And they were operating out of Noida's Special Economic Zone in India.
But that location, it's almost misleading. Their reach was genuinely global. They were meticulously targeting people specifically in the UK and Australia.
And what's really insightful, I think, is just the level of methodical deception involved. These weren't, random callers just winging it.
No, not at all.
They were specifically impersonating employees of huge, renowned multinational firms. Microsoft is the big one mentioned.
Right, using that brand recognition, that trust.
Perfectly. And their first move, the initial contact strategy, it was chillingly effective. They'd claimed the victim's device was, quote, infected with malicious software.
That immediate panic button?
Exactly. That claim of a sudden serious tech emergency. That created the perfect opening for the psychological games that followed.
And yeah, that initial fear, that urgency they create, it was just the first step in this really carefully planned psychological manipulation. The sources break down how they manipulated victims into believing their systems were compromised. They really preyed on that fear.
Exploiting fear, creating this immense pressure around a problem that didn't even exist.
Right, and then the pivot. Convincing the victim they had to pay for fake technical assistance.
And often, this involved getting remote access to the computer, which is terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. They're literally inside your machine, watching you, maybe even fabricating evidence of problems on your screen, all while they extort money, demanding payment for their so-called fix.
And this wasn't just, a few rogue agents. This was structured. What's really disturbing, especially when you think about organized crime generally, is how much they mirrored legitimate businesses.
How so?
Well, they organized their call centers meticulously around the time zones of their targeted regions, just like a global support company would,
Right.
to maximize contact hours.
Makes sense. Hit people when they're likely to be home, maybe less alert.
Exactly. But it went deeper. They used a predefined protocol for psychological manipulation. Think about that. A protocol.
Like a checklist for manipulation.
Sort of, yeah. And step-by-step dialogue scripts. These scripts were designed specifically to amplify fear and urgency.
So it wasn't improvisation, it was a script, almost like actors reading lines.
Pretty much. A carefully engineered conversational blueprint. Every line aimed at bypassing your critical thinking, pushing you towards immediate online transactions under duress.
Wow. That really shows an industrial scale approach to crime, doesn't it? It's not just fraud, it's engineered fraud.
Absolutely. Highly organized criminal enterprise.
So, okay, the psychological tactics were clearly very sophisticated, insidious even, but the sheer scale of FirstIdea, it only became really clear when the CBI started unmasking their infrastructure.
Right. This wasn't just about clever talk. It was powered by some serious tech.
The crackdown itself, Operation Chakra-V, it kicked off when the CBI got intelligence inputs. They formally registered the case RC072025. This wasn't just a random raid, it was the start of a focused investigation.
And that focus led to incredibly quick action. The CBI carried out simultaneous raids at 3 different locations in Noida.
3 locations at once, coordinated.
Yes. And that resulted in the immediate arrest of what they called a key operative. But the really big reveal, as you said, was what they found, what they seized, this high-tech calling infrastructure.
Yeah, tell us more about that. This wasn't just like a bunch of phones on desks.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
Far from it. This setup was clearly, specifically designed to dodge detection.
How did it do that?
Primarily, it was used to anonymize international VoIP calls. VoIP is voice over internet protocol, basically, phone calls over the internet.
Okay.
This system routed calls through multiple layers, proxies, making it nearly impossible to trace the call's true origin back to FirstIdea in Noida.
So complete masking.
Pretty much. And here's the really chilling part.
Yeah.
The infrastructure was also used to execute malicious scripts in real time.
Wait, real time? While they were on the phone with the victim?
Exactly. Imagine you're talking to a scammer, maybe getting flustered, and while you're distracted, they're activating malware or running commands on your computer through this system, without you seeing them type anything.
That's next level. That real-time capability, it really speaks to their technical sophistication, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It suggests they weren't just talking people through steps. They had a toolkit, bespoke exploits, maybe targeting specific vulnerabilities. They could deploy harmful code or take remote control with just a command doing the call.
Wow. And the infrastructure held more than just the calling tech.
Right,
Huh?
yes. The scale becomes even clearer when you look at what else was found. It contained templates for false security alerts, fake software prompts, and guided tech support interactions.
So not just scripts for talking, but actual fake pop-ups and alerts they could push.
Precisely.
Yeah.
An entire library of deception ready to go, like a scammer's toolkit. And another really challenging aspect here was that this whole operation was running under a corporate veil.
What do you mean by corporate veil in this context?
Essentially, they set up what looked like legitimate companies, maybe registered businesses, perhaps even rented office space, all designed to create a facade of legitimacy.
To hide the illegal activity behind a seemingly normal business front.
Exactly. It makes detection by authorities, especially from overseas, significantly harder. They look like any other company.
Okay, so they have this sophisticated tech, these psychological scripts, and they're hiding behind this corporate veil. That makes them incredibly hard for any single country's police force to tackle.
Absolutely. That transnational nature, combined with the tech, it really highlights why the next point is just so crucial.
Which is the international cooperation aspect.
Exactly. That's why international cooperation wasn't just, helpful in taking down FirstIdea. It was absolutely essential, indispensable, really.
Because the crime crosses borders, so the response has to as well.
Precisely. The CBI wasn't working in isolation here. The sources make it clear they were working alongside the FBI, the UK's National Crime Agency, and even Microsoft's own internal fraud investigation team.
That's quite a coalition. FBI, NCA, Microsoft.
It really is. And that kind of multi-agency international teamwork was vital for success. It proves, I think, that no single agency can really combat these massive global cyber threats effectively on their own anymore.
Collaboration is key. And the investigation isn't finished yet, is it?
No, not at all. The person they arrested, the key operative, has been presented before the special CBI court. But the sources say investigations are ongoing.
Meaning more digging into the data they seized.
Right. They expect more arrests likely in the coming weeks as digital evidence is further analyzed. So this is still very much a live situation unfolding as we speak. It shows just how complex and lengthy these cybercrime investigations can be.
Okay, so bringing this back to the listener, what does learning about this specific case, FirstIdea, actually mean for you, beyond just being an interesting, maybe slightly terrifying news story?
Well, I think this deep dive into how FirstIdea operated reveals specific patterns of behavior that are much harder for scammers to fake than just, say, a company name.
Like specific tactics to watch out for.
Exactly. It's not just the request for remote access or the demand for payment. It's that predefined protocol we talked about.
Yeah.
Those rapid-fire questions designed to confuse you, the way they manufacture extreme urgency tied to a very specific threat, that immediate push for an online payment, often with gift cards or wire transfers.
Right, those specific pressure tactics used together.
Yes. If you encounter those tactical elements, especially in combination, that's a much more reliable red flag than just hearing your computer is infected. Understanding their playbook, their actual methods, really empowers you to recognize and shut down these scams before you get drawn in.
It really is about seeing past the surface claim and recognizing those deeper, more sophisticated patterns of manipulation.
Yeah,
They're designed to short-circuit your thinking, make you panic.
absolutely.
And just knowing how structured, how professional these criminal operations actually are,
Yeah.
it's almost a defense in itself. It makes you pause. It's kind of unsettling to realize the level of business planning that went into something so purely destructive.
It truly is. And this case really underscores that cybercrime isn't static. It's constantly evolving. As our technology gets better, unfortunately, so do the methods of those who want to exploit it.
They adapt quickly.
They really do, often adopting the very structures and methods of legitimate businesses like that corporate veil to hide what they're doing. This just demands constant vigilance from all of us in this digital age.
Yeah.
And as these scams get more complex, more internationally organized, like FirstIdea, the critical importance of global law enforcement working together across borders in this sort of borderless cyber world just becomes incredibly clear.
It really does.
Which leads to, I think, a pretty critical question for all of us to consider moving forward. What are the broader, maybe longer-term implications of these incredibly intricate, globally run scams? What does it do to the fundamental trust we need to have in technology, in the companies we deal with online every day, and just, in the safety of our increasingly digital lives?
That's a heavy thought to end on. How does this erosion of trust play out over time? Something definitely worth thinking about.